Okay, so we're diving into some really cool music today.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Yeah, we're talking about the DeBarge family.
The DeBarges, yeah.
And, you've brought all this great research, and it's amazing to see, kind of this journey that this family took in music.
It really is.
Going all the way from Switch
Mm-hmm.
in the late 70s, which was really, funky, kind of that sound, and then really evolving into this R&B.
Yeah, more of that R&B.
Yeah, almost like pop R&B.
Yeah, pop R&B.
Yeah, in the 80s with DeBarge.
Exactly.
So it's really interesting to sort of think about, how did they get from point A to point B?
Right.
And what was that journey like, and what are some of the key moments
Yeah.
that really define them? So
Absolutely. And, you've got two distinct groups there that really left a huge mark on not just R&B, but I think popular music as a whole.
yeah.
So it's going to be fun to break it down.
Yeah, so basically our mission here is to unpack all of this. Really, like I said, where did Switch come from? How did they lay the groundwork for DeBarge?
Mm-hmm.
And what was it about DeBarge that made them such a sensation?
Yeah.
And then sort of what you alluded to, what were the things that led to there were some struggles there.
Right.
And maybe some fragmentation. So let's get into all of it.
It's a fascinating story.
Mm.
Really, full of those highs and lows and everything in between.
Yeah.
But to really understand DeBarge, I think we got to start at the beginning with Switch.
Yeah, so let's go back to 1975.
Okay.
And this is when we find Gregory Williams, who had been in a band called White Heat.
Right.
He decides to head out to L.A.
Right, to L.A.
looking for a record deal.
Yeah.
And this is where he meets up with Bobby DeBarge.
Right.
And Bobby DeBarge, of course, being the eldest of all the DeBarge siblings.
Exactly.
And brings him in to be the lead singer.
Right. And that first lineup is interesting because it wasn't, just a family affair just yet.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So alongside Bobby and his brother Tommy, who also joined, they had Eddie Fluell and Jody Sims and Philip Ingram.
Philip Ingram, wow.
Who was James Ingram's brother.
Whoa, wow.
So, already you've got this really interesting mix of talent coming together in those early days.
So they're out there and they're working, they're doing their thing.
They're making music.
But then there's this moment.
There is.
That I think is really crucial to their success.
The big break.
It is. And it comes through Jermaine Jackson.
Jermaine Jackson.
Who hears them.
Right.
Recognizes that there's something special going on. And he introduces them to Berry Gordy.
Wow.
And this is huge, right? Because now we're talking Motown.
Yeah, the biggest name in R&B at the time.
Absolutely.
And so they signed with Motown in 1977.
Yeah.
And that's when things really start to take off.
That's when things take off. So 1978, their debut album.
Their self-titled album, Switch, drops, and it goes platinum.
Wow.
I mean, this is huge success right out of the gate.
Yeah, and they have, they'll never be, I want to be closer. These songs are really capturing that late 70s R&B sound.
Yeah, they really were. What was it about that early Switch sound that really resonated?
Well, Bobby DeBarge's falsetto is incredible.
Oh, it's soaring, isn't it?
It's soaring, and those harmonies.
And the harmonies so smooth, so tight.
So tight, yeah. And there was a real funkiness.
Oh, yeah.
Like a real driving force behind that music.
A groove.
That groove, yeah.
And I think what's interesting, too, is they weren't afraid to experiment a bit with their instrumentation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like those layered synthesizers.
Okay.
Which was kind of unusual for a funk band at the time.
Yeah.
But it gave them a really distinctive edge.
It's interesting because it's like they're rooted in that classic sound, but they're also, kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And that success didn't stop there.
Right.
They followed up with Switch 2 in 79.
Yeah.
I Call Your Name, another hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then Switch 3 in 1980.
Yeah, over and over again.
Exactly. So they were really on a roll.
Yeah.
But as we know, things change.
Yeah, and we see some shifts happening within the band.
Yeah.
And it seems like from the information we have that there was a reason behind it.
Right.
Switch V comes out in 81.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bobby's last album with the group.
Yeah, and then by 83, Tommy's gone too.
Yeah, and it seems like Motown had their eyes on something else.
On the horizon.
Yeah, on the younger DeBarge siblings.
It was almost as if they saw the future.
Wow.
Unfolding within the family.
Yeah, so they're kind of switching gears a little bit.
Yeah, they're just changing of the guard.
So meanwhile,
right.
You have Elle, Bunny Mark, Randy, and Jane.
Your younger DeBarges.
Yeah, they're forming their own group.
Yeah, they're coming up right behind their older brothers.
And they waste no time.
Not at all.
They sign with Motown in 79.
79.
And they release their debut the DeBarges.
It's DeBarge in
turn
81.
And it lays the groundwork.
Yeah, it does. It does. But then comes their second album, All This Love in 82.
Yeah.
Now this is when they really explode.
Yeah, onto the scene.
I like it.
Oh,
Like such a classic.
All This Love.
So catchy.
You know, it's interesting because you can definitely hear that Switch influence.
Oh, absolutely.
Those harmonies.
Those harmonies are unmistakable.
Are there? But there's also something new.
Yeah.
It's like a little more of that pop sensibility.
A little brighter, a little more, radio friendly maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and the energy.
The energy is undeniable.
Is undeniable. Yeah.
Even on a technical level.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
The way that bass line is syncopated,
Okay.
it just creates this irresistible groove.
It does. It pulls you in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then 83 comes around,
Yeah.
and now we have, in a special way.
Another huge step for them.
Yeah, this is considered by many to be like their,
Yeah, kind of their masterpiece.
their masterpiece. Yeah.
And it's interesting here because you got DeBarge really stepping up.
Yeah.
Not just as the lead vocalist, but as a songwriter too.
Yeah, and I think you can really hear that.
Yeah, his stamp is all over this album.
Yeah, that sound that we were talking about earlier, like that blend of soul pop, R&B.
Mm-hmm.
It's really starting to crystallize.
Yeah, they're really honing in on what makes them unique.
And they're doing these amazing things with their voices.
Vocally, they are incredible.
Yeah.
Like the harmonies,
Yeah.
they're so tight. And then they've got these intricate little counter melodies that weave in and out. It's
so sophisticated.
It's so sophisticated, but it feels so effortless.
Yeah. And this is just the beginning, right? Like they're still building this momentum.
Absolutely.
And it leads to something pretty spectacular.
It does.
Rhythm of the Night.
Rhythm of the Night, 1985.
1985.
That album was a phenomenon.
Huge.
Huge.
Global success.
And it all starts with that title track.
Rhythm of the Night, number 3
Yeah.
on the Billboard Hot 100.
Massive.
International hit.
It was everywhere.
Yeah. It was one of those songs that you just couldn't escape.
You couldn't escape it. It was on the radio, it was in the clubs.
And it was on MTV.
On MTV. Oh, yeah. Big time.
But what's interesting is that album had so much more to offer.
It wasn't just a one-hit wonder.
Who's Holding Donna Now?
Oh, so good. So much emotion in that one.
And then You Wear It Well.
Such a smooth groove.
They really showcased their range on that album.
Yeah, their versatility.
And it's around this time that we see even more DeBarges.
More DeBarge.
Entering the music scene.
Like a whole dynasty.
It is, right? So you have Chico DeBarge.
Chico DeBarge.
And another Bobby DeBarge.
Okay, now this is where it gets a little tricky because we've already talked about Bobby
Right.
from Switch.
Right.
But based on the timeline, this has got to be a different Bobby.
Different Bobby.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, Chico and this other Bobby, they're both pursuing solo careers. And Chico actually has a pretty big hit
Yeah.
in 86 with Talk to Me.
Talk to Me. Yeah, I remember that one.
It's a good one.
It's catchy.
It is. It shows that the talent clearly runs deep in this family.
Absolutely. But unfortunately, as with many stories like this,
Right.
Where you see these incredible highs,
The success.
there are also these challenges.
Yeah, the flip side of the coin.
And for the DeBarge family,
Yeah.
this is where things start to get a little bit difficult.
Yeah, the material we've got really paints a picture of, internal conflicts, issues with management.
And personal struggles.
And those personal struggles are tough, particularly with drug addiction.
Yeah, affecting Bobby, Tommy, and Elle.
Yeah, and it's a reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of the pressures that come with fame.
Yeah.
The expectations, the temptations.
It's a lot to handle.
It is, and it takes its toll.
And it definitely had an impact on the group.
Yeah, for sure.
So in 86, Elle decides to leave.
To go solo.
To go solo. Yeah. And he does well.
Who's Johnny Allen?
Love Always.
Yeah, he had some big hits.
But it definitely changes the dynamic.
It does. The group is fractured at this point.
Yeah, and you see Randy Bunny and Mark.
They try to keep DeBarge going.
Yeah, they put out Bad Boys in 87.
But it doesn't quite reach the same heights.
It doesn't have the same magic.
And then you have Bunny and James.
Right.
They also pursue solo careers.
But they don't really break through.
No.
And then there's Bobby.
Yeah.
This is where it gets really sad.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
He faces legal trouble. He's incarcerated in 88.
And then in 95.
Passes away.
Yeah, due to complications from AIDS.
It's a tragic end.
It's a tragic end to his story.
And it really underscores the human cost.
Yeah.
Of these struggles.
But even with all of that,
right,
there's still more to the story.
There is.
Because the music lives on.
Absolutely.
And we see that in the 2000s and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
There are reunions. There are solo projects.
Yeah. Attempts to recapture the magic.
Yeah. Elle DeBarge makes a comeback.
Yeah, in 2010 with Second Chance.
Such a great album.
Yeah, and Chico DeBarge keeps releasing music.
Long time.
Oh, see, addiction.
He's still out there.
Still going. And Bunny DeBarge, she shares her perspective.
Yeah, through her memoir.
On the family's journey.
A very personal look at their experiences.
And Gregory Williams.
Yeah, the founder of Switch.
He brings the group back together.
That's correct.
Some performances.
So keeping that legacy alive.
And I think that's really the key takeaway here.
Sure.
Despite the challenges and the changes, their music has endured.
It really has.
And not just endured, it's influenced so many other artists.
Incredible.
Mariah Carey, The Weeknd, Usher, Bruno Mars.
Sampling their music, incorporating their sound.
They've all been touched by the DeBarges.
By their legacy.
So, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into the DeBarge family, what's really striking is the power of their story.
Absolutely.
We went from...
With funk roots.
Yeah, to DeBarge.
With those incredible harmonies and R&B grooves.
Yeah, and it's a story of, immense talent.
Phenomenal talent.
Global success.
Global success.
But also family dynamics.
Yeah, the complexities of family.
The struggles.
The very real human struggle.
And yet their music continues to resonate.
It does.
With people all over the world.
Yeah, it's a testament to their artistry, isn't it?
It is, and it secures their place.
Absolutely.
In music history.
In the history of R&B and soul.
Yeah. And I think it leaves us all with something to think about.
A question to ponder.
When we look at their incredible highs and their difficult lows, what does the DeBarge story tell us about their relationship?
That complex relationship.
Between family, fame,
and the power of music.
That raw, undeniable power of music.
So much to consider.
So much.
Thanks for bringing in all this great research.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I love digging into these stories.
And thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.